We all remember that moment. The moment Doki Doki Literature Club stops pretending to be a cute anime dating sim and reveals itself as a psychological horror game. But amid all the glitching eyes, broken necks, and fourth wall shattering monologues, there's something quieter, and in many ways more disturbing. Something, or rather someone, we didn't fully understand. Yuri. To many players, Yuri is the shy girl with a knife fetish, a one-note archetype who becomes increasingly obsessive until she, well, you know. But today, I want to argue that Yuri is more than a horror gimmick or a cautionary tale about obsession. She's a deeply tragic, misunderstood character, and maybe the most human of all the girls in the literature club. Let's start with what Yuri seems to be, the classic shy girl archetype. She's reserved, she stammers, she hides behind a book, and in any other visual novel, she'd be your classic kudere, or dandere, the quiet intellectual who opens up to the protagonist and reveals a deeper tenderness. But DDLC subverts that, because unlike other dating sims where girls are tropes to be unlocked, DDLC plays those tropes up to 11, then shatters them. Yuri is the intellectual, yes, but her intellect doesn't just make her aloof, it isolates her. She doesn't just get shy around the protagonist, she's socially anxious, paranoid, constantly self-monitoring. And her romantic intensity, it's not just flustered schoolgirl affection, it's raw, it's obsessive, it's terrifying. But here's the thing, this isn't because Yuri is a crazy girl, it's because she's a person, one who's been alone for a very, very long time. Yuri's entire identity is wrapped up in solitude. She's used to being alone. Her hobby, reading, is solitary. Her communication style, verbose. Metaphor-heavy, analytical, isn't exactly easy for a room full of teenagers to relate to, and she knows it.
I just have a hard time getting along with people. I don't really know how to make myself interesting or have conversations without being awkward.
That's not just awkwardness. That's a deep-rooted social anxiety. Yuri isn't just quiet, she's emotionally starving. She's dying for connection, but terrified of rejection. When the player shows interest in her, it's not just affection she feels, it's validation. Imagine craving connection for years, then suddenly someone looks at you and says, "I want to know you." Yuri doesn't know how to pace that. She latches on. Not because she's crazy, but because she's vulnerable. Let's talk about the elephant in the room. Yuri's SH. Yes, it's a shocking moment in the game. Yes, it's used to create horror, but that doesn't mean it's only horror. Because the truth is, SH is real. It affects millions, and it often stems from the intense emotional pain, isolation, or the inability to process feelings in a healthy way. Yuri's SH isn't about shock value. It's a cry for help. In fact, in Act 2 of the game, we start to see how Yuri's emotional world is unraveling. Her language becomes more erratic. Her affection becomes obsessive. She clings to the player like a life raft. Monica calls it possessive, but let's think critically here. Is Yuri actually dangerous to others, or is she just desperately trying not to be abandoned again? The game wants you to be scared of her, but if you pause, if you look past the horror filter, you see a girl who is breaking under the weight of being misunderstood. And let's not forget, Monica is manipulating everything. Yuri's increased obsession, her instability, it's all amplified by an outside interference. She's being puppeteered into madness, and yet we blame her. Here's something uncomfortable, but important to unpack. The way Yuri is portrayed taps into a long history of how fiction demonizes women with intense emotions. Think about the hysterical woman trope, or the crazy ex-girlfriend, or the dark, brooding goth girl who turns out to be psychotic. Yuri's story plays on these same beats. She's sexualized. Her scenes with the player get intimate quickly, and her possessiveness is framed as dangerous. But if the roles were reversed, if a male was passionate and intense, he might be seen as mysterious or tragically romantic, a man who yearns. Why is Yuri a villain for feeling so much? The horror isn't that Yuri is unhinged. The horror is that we as players were primed to fear her instead of understanding her. She's not a monster. She's a mirror, reflecting back at our discomfort with vulnerability and emotional intensity, especially in women. Let's talk about the knife. It's Yuri's most iconic symbol, her fascination with it, her collection, the way it factors into her descent. But in literature, knives aren't just weapons, they're tools of control, precision, focus. They demand stillness, skill, and purpose. Yuri's obsession with knives isn't just about violence, it's about control, something she lacks everywhere else in her life. She can't control her emotions. She can't control how others see her. She can't even control her own game file. So she clings to what she can, her books and her blades. It's tragic. And it's telling. Of course, we can't talk about Yuri without talking about Monica. Monica sees Yuri as a threat, not because Yuri is evil, but because she's emotionally intense in a way the game can't handle. Monica doesn't try to help Yuri. She corrupts her. She makes Yuri more obsessive, more anxious, more unstable. But the scariest part? Monica does it to make Yuri unlikable to the player. Not to save the club, but to make you choose her instead. So when Yuri spirals into her darkest moment, when she confesses her love and loses control, it's not because she was always going to snap. It's because Monica pushed her off the edge, and the game let her fall. Yuri isn't a monster. She's not a fetish, not a meme, not a horror trope for YouTube thumbnails. She's a deeply sensitive person, one who felt too much, too deeply, in a world that punished her for it. She was isolated, manipulated, and ultimately deleted, not because she was dangerous, but because she didn't fit the story Monica wanted to tell. Yuri should be seen not as a glitch in the game, but as a person the system failed. She deserved better, and maybe it's time we talked about that instead. Thank you so much for watching. I truly hope you enjoyed it. A huge thank you to my girlfriend, That One Stickman, for doing the fantastic voice of Yuri. I will leave a link to her channel in the description. Stay cool, stay sharp, and I'll see you later.